That's right, NFL fans. NFL Week 1 score predictions are back in season. The NFL is back in season altogether. We watched the Rams and the Bills game. We watched the Bills absolutely bully the Los Angeles Rams. What a game. Are the Bills just that dominant of a team? Are the Rams on a Super Bowl hangover? What do you think? It's a little bit of both, but we're here for our first Sunday now. And, even though you're not just excited to watch your team, you're excited to watch the entire NFL, to have games on all day on Sunday from 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night to midnight. You get to watch Sunday night football, Monday night football. Football's back, and it's time to go through every single game, give you my score predictions, give you my general overview of every single game. And, as you see here on the screen, my Twitter is at JDW SportsTalk. Instagram, JDW.SportsTalkShow. Go follow those for more sports content. I like to post a lot of updates on Twitter. I like to post some graphics on Insta. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Put the like on, subscribe on. Or subscribe, like, put the post notification bell on. So we have our first game here between the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. So I have the New Orleans Saints taking it at 31-21. As you see, the line is -5.5. The Saints are favored by 5.5, and I think that line is pretty good. I would take the over. I think the Saints are definitely going to win by more than 6 points. I see the Saints winning 31-21. I think that's a little generous for the Falcons as well. I'm just giving the Falcons a little more points there because, you have that Mariota offense. You have Pitts, you have London, you have Patterson. Offense line isn't great, but Mariota can move around a little bit, maybe get a few extra time, a little bit extra time. But if there's a defense that I can trust most to stop a new offense, it's not really a new offense, but new players. If there's a defense out there that I think can take care of it, I think the New Orleans Saints are one of those defenses. And I think the Falcons are going to come out hot on offense, and I think the Saints might be down a few points, but ultimately I think the New Orleans Saints are going to kick it into gear by the second quarter and really take the game away. So taking the New Orleans Saints over the Atlanta Falcons, it's going to be a good game. Jameis Winston, you have all those weapons on New Orleans Saints, and then the defensive line is great. I think Cordell Patterson doesn't have a day on the ground either, so I think the Falcons are going to be forced to throw a lot. And when you let that New Orleans Saints defensive line just pin their ears back and go and rush Mariota, it's going to be a long day. Plus, Mariota is with Arthur Smith again, but at the end of the day, we know what Mariota was in Tennessee. Is he really going to be that much better? We don't know. It's exciting to see. I think he's going to look good. I think this offense is going to look decent for the first few weeks, and then once NFL teams have the tape, things change. It's week 1. Things go crazy. Maybe this doesn't happen. Maybe the Falcons find a way to win, but I'm going based off the matchup. I'm a big matchup guy, and I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints over the Atlanta Falcons. Then for the second game here, we have the San Francisco 49ers and the Chicago Bears. So the 49ers, you got Trey Lance is going to be starting. Really excited to see Trey Lance starting. And Jimmy G is back too, so I think that's going to make a little bit of a difference as well because, you have Jimmy G coming back. Trey Lance can't just, expect to keep that job. He's got to really play well if he wants to keep it because Niners aren't going to continue to go all season if he plays bad. If he plays bad till like maybe half the season, maybe they throw Jimmy G in there if it's that bad. But Trey Lance, I think he's going to be very good. There's not much tape at all in the Niners offense with Trey Lance. A little bit from last year, but not too serious. You have Deebo Samuel. I actually think Brandon Ayuk is going to have a big game. I think he has a sleeper for this week. And as you see, the line, the Niners are favored by 7. I think that's a solid line. But as you see, I'm not going over. I'm taking it right where it's at, 23-16. I think Justin Fields and the Bears offense can come out fast. I think both of these offenses could come out fast, because, we did see Justin Fields in the Bears offense a little bit last year, but I think the Bears offense is going to be a little difficult to stop early on, especially until you get even more tape. It's just a difficult game plan, versus Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney. Cole Kmet, I think, could maybe have a touchdown in this game. Maybe Mooney and Kmet. Maybe, you have David Montgomery, but the Bears offensive line isn't great. The Niners defensive line is phenomenal. The Niners secondary isn't phenomenal, but other than Mooney, is there really a guy that's enough to make you jump out of your seat? No. I think the Niners are going to take this game ultimately. I think they're ultimately going to win the chess match and win the game in the trenches, and I'm taking the Niners 23-16. The Bears offensive line isn't great. They've been losing a lot of key players. They kept Roquan Smith. That was a really good keep by Matt Eberflus. I mean, that was a good first win for him. He stood his ground and he won the battle. So Roquan Smith is back. That's a big win there as well. And that Niners offensive line is just phenomenal. The tackles are very good. Trent Williams is phenomenal. So I can see the Niners running a little bit in this game, running well. Bears, I don't know how much they're going to do well. I think they're going to do well early, and then after that, I say after the second quarter maybe that this offense might get quiet and get a field goal after, or maybe 2 field goals after, and I think it's safe to go 23-16. I think it's pretty safe to take the Niners, but it is NFL Week 1, so anything could go, anything happens. It's any given Sunday every week, but I'm gonna be comfortable with taking the Niners here over the Chicago Bears. And then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 6.5. I'm not going to take the over. It's a divisional game. It's, the Steelers' defense is pretty good. The defensive line is very good. The secondary isn't the great, so I think the Bengals are going to score a lot of points. I think the receivers aren't going to have an issue. We saw last year the offensive line really wasn't an issue until you got to the Super Bowl and the game that mattered most, but the Steelers don't really have the secondary the Rams do. They don't really have, the linebackers are okay. Kind of similar to the Rams, I guess you could say. I just don't think the talent level is really high in the linebacker room. But the Cincinnati Bengals, I think they're going to be fine. Joe Burrow is really good under pressure. He's cool under pressure, smoking the cigar. He's just, cool Joe. He's going to be fine. I don't see a problem with him being under pressure. He has a receiver that can get open quick. He got Boyd, Higgins, Chase. I think all of them are going to have a very good game. I just don't see the Bengals, I could see the Steelers win this one in a way because that Bengals run defense is not very good. Their linebackers are okay, but the run defense isn't great. You have Najee Harris, and, the Steelers' offensive line isn't phenomenal either, but I think Najee Harris can make room for himself, and Najee Harris is going to have a pretty big day versus the Cincinnati Bengals run defense. Is it going to be better than last year? I don't know, but they had a defensive lineman move from Cincinnati to I think it was Ogunjobi. I think it was something like, I don't remember, but I know it was like a 3 tech that moved from or 2 or 1 tech to move from Cincinnati to Steelers, and he was pretty decent. I can't put my finger on the name right now, but nonetheless, I'm gonna take the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm gonna take Joe Burrow over Trubisky, and I'm gonna take him over Trubisky, and I'm gonna take Burrow in the Cincinnati Bengals team to ultimately win this game. I think it could be a close game due to the fact that the Steelers' defensive line is still very strong. I think they're going to get pressure, but, and I think that Steelers team, that offense is going to be able to run a little bit, maybe have a nice few plays on offense, but, I think 24-27 is, I think I'm even cutting it close by making it only a 3-point game. I think the Bengals could definitely blow them out of the water, but it's a divisional game. It's week 1. I think the Bengals squeak out of here with a 3-point victory versus a divisional rival. Start 1-0, beat the Steelers, and then, yeah, so let's move on to the next game here. We have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. The Eagles are favored at 4 points. I feel like this is a little bit of a trap by Vegas. -4 seems very low, but I think you could take it. I think you could definitely take over. The Eagles, it's a phenomenal matchup for the Eagles. It's a dominant matchup if you look at it matchup wise. The Lions don't really have the ability to take that edge away. So Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's gonna have a problem, scrambling out, throwing to his receivers, Brown, Smith. I think they have the Hightower. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a phenomenal matchup. I'm not saying that the Lions are gonna be a bad team this year. I'm not saying that it's not gonna be close. I just think that it's a very good matchup for the Eagles. And the Lions, they just can't really cut off that edge at Jalen Hurts, and it's just a phenomenal matchup for the Eagles, and they could come at Jared Goff. They could come at the Lions defensive line or the offensive line. I actually think that the Lions offensive line is really solid. I think it's a lot better. They've done a lot of upgrades. They've gotten a lot of stuff done to it. It's just that the Philadelphia Eagles front, the rotation and stuff, I think it's very good. And this offensive line, they're gonna need some time to gel. Even though most of the starters are there really, they're still the same. Didn't really change too much. But at the end of the day, you have some new guys, and the offensive line is gonna need to learn each other. But I can see Swift having an okay day because of the offensive line being good. This is a game. It's just NFL Week 1. You just never know what's gonna happen. But I'm going to comfortably take the Eagles 31-20 just because of the matchup. So, moving on here to the next game, we have the New England Patriots playing the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are favored by 3.5 points. This is a game that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The Patriots come out and they win this game, we might be like, oh, okay, the Patriots maybe are for real. Maybe the offense and the defense, maybe this team is a little better than we think, because throughout this offseason, there's a lot of doubters. I'm one of them. I don't see much in the Patriots team. I think they got a little worse than last year. From last year to this year, I didn't see them get much better. Maybe the same or a little bit worse. But I mean, you do have Bill Belichick. You do have one of the best coaches in history. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to have the players to play a good system, to play a complicated system, a strong system. And I just don't know if this Patriots team could outscore the Miami Dolphins. And that's basically winning. The Dolphins have Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. I don't think the Dolphins are going to have to throw deep passes to win all game. Tua's not going to have to do anything crazy. Just get the ball into Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson's hands, and you have Chase Edmonds. How will the Patriots run defense do? I'm not sure. I think this Dolphins whole line isn't phenomenal, but I think the Patriots defense line isn't incredibly good either. I'm not a big fan of Mac Jones. I don't see Mac Jones taking a big step like everyone is expecting to. When he was coming out, everyone was in harmony saying, or majority of people were in harmony saying that Mac Jones isn't going to make what you're getting is what you're getting. What you see is what you're getting. And Mac Jones, there's only so much he can improve. We all agreed his ceiling isn't high, and I agree, his ceiling isn't that high. I just don't see Mac Jones. I see him being like, kind of like an Alex Smith, a little worse of an Alex Smith. It's hard to say that, but I mean, Mac Jones, he's just not the guy. He's smart, but he just doesn't have it. Last year in the playoffs, he struggled. Last year, down the stretch, they struggled. But if the New England Patriots defense just come out strong like they did last year, they had spurts, they had stretches where they were very good. If they come out very strong, they're missing J.C. Jackson, of course. If they come out strong, the Colts or their cornerback room is still solid, but it's just I'm not sure if they can keep up with this wide receiver room. And Tua, as I said, he doesn't have to do much. And the Dolphins defense, I think, is very good. I don't think the Patriots would, be able to do all that hot against the Dolphins defense. But it's a divisional matchup, so I'm taking the Dolphins, and I'm going to keep it close here. I'm going to take the Dolphins 23-17. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the Dolphins have more firepower. And I think the defense is better as well. So I'm going to take the Dolphins here at 23-17, and I would take the over on 3.5. I know it's a division, but I think taking the over is fair. I would take it. I would take the Dolphins favored 3.5. I think the Dolphins are very good. Mac Jones, I'm not even sure if he's going to be able to score 17. I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt of being week one, and I'm taking the Dolphins in this one. That's enough with that one, going back and forth, but then we have the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Jets. The Ravens are favored by 7. This is not a good matchup for the New York Jets. You do have, Zach Wilson has a lot of weapons, and there's a lot of weapons on this Jets offense. It could be solid. You have Carter, and you have that strong rookie running back. The defense isn't terrible. The cornerback room is okay. When you have Sauce Gardner, and the defensive line isn't bad. The safeties are okay. I know they did lose someone. I don't remember who it was. I think it was a safety, but nonetheless, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens here, 31-22. I think Lamar Jackson is going to come out and just fire and just have a good day. Oh, that's right. Zach Wilson isn't even playing week one. That's right. It's Joe Flacco. Oh, it's Joe Flacco playing against Baltimore. I did not think about that. So that's something to take into consideration. Maybe Joe Flacco comes to Baltimore and he lights up Baltimore with all those weapons. I mean, last year he had a really good game with Elijah Moore, but I'm going to stick with the safer option here. I'm going to stick with the Baltimore Ravens beating the New York Jets 31-22. I think the Jets are going to be able to score some points. They have good offensive base. I think their offensive line is good. I think, and as the Baltimore Ravens defensive line as good as it was last year, is the defense going to be as good as it has been in recent years? I don't think so. But, the Ravens are kind of gearing their defense to today's game, which I think is a very good move. A lot of defenses, a lot of teams like to stick with what they're doing, and the Ravens are changing stuff around. They're changing stuff. Like, they got some different guys that could cover better because they're realizing that this is a game where, passing and you need to have good coverage guys, not just man coverage. And, They do like to blitz a lot, but I think they're going to shy away from that a little bit, kind of see what their front four could do. I think they're still going to blitz and play some man, but not as much as they used to. They're gearing towards a little bit different of a defense. It's going to look a little different this year because they're realizing that in today's NFL, you need a little bit that you kind of need to change things up a little bit to try and combat these offenses, these spread offenses. But and especially being in the AFC, of all the good opponents they have in there that they have to go up against. So 31-22, I think the Baltimore Ravens score a good amount of points in this game. Although I do think the Jets defense is pretty good, but I think Lamar Jackson is going to prove too much for this Jets defense, and I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to win this game pretty comfortably. This is a 9-point win right here, taking over 7. I wouldn't touch this game though, just because 7 seems it is a lot, and I know the Baltimore Ravens are very good, but you do have Joe Flacco and you do have some good weapons, and the Jets defense line is solid, but is it enough to keep Lamar Jackson in check? I don't think so. But just keep an eye on this game. This game could be, there could be a little bit of an upset alert here. It could be a close game. Maybe the Jets do find a way. It's week 1. Crazy things happen. Crazier things have happened. And if the Jets win, I don't think it would surprise me much. It'd be cool to see that. But I'm taking the Ravens. Much better matchup for the Ravens. I take Lamar Jackson over Joe Flacco. But you guys let me know what you think. We're moving on to another matchup here. Another AFC versus NFC matchup. And the Jaguars are the Washington Commanders are favored by 2.5. I'm gonna take the Jacksonville Jaguars in this game. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, and I think they're gonna look a lot better this year. We're not gonna see the same Trevor Lawrence that we saw last year. He's gonna make a step up, and he has good receivers. They're okay. I'm not a fan of Christian Kirk, if you ask me. They don't have Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark. They lost a few weapons, so maybe outside of Christian Kirk, there really isn't much. You do have Ingram, who is a tight end that you could watch out for. I think Ingram could be very solid in this Jaguars offense. Maybe he figures it out with Trevor Lawrence. That'd be interesting to see. But the Jaguars offensive line is better. It's nothing crazy. It's better. Jaguars defensive line is solid. Cornerbacks are okay. The defense is okay. I don't think it's phenomenal. I don't think it's going to be anything great. But, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to take it to the Washington Commanders this week. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to turn some heads this week. The Washington Commanders front is very good. So, it could be difficult for Trevor Lawrence and this offensive line to get some time, considering the receivers they have as well. They're not, anything crazy, but I think the Washington football team could get a lot of pressure, but Lawrence is good under pressure. It's not going to affect him too much. He's going to have Travis Etienne out of the backfield, and I think Travis Etienne is going to have a big game, throwing out of the backfield, running, whatever it is. I think Travis Etienne is going to have a good game. And I think that's what might be the difference in this game because, you go to the other side, the offensive side of the ball. It's a very good offense. It's a very good offense. A lot of, there's a lot of high-powered, weapons here. You got Terry McLaurin. You got Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, the rookie. Tight end, you have Logan Thomas if he's healthy. I think he's questionable for this game, though. But the defense, the cornerbacks, the secondary isn't anything crazy. It's not phenomenal. Defensive line is solid. The linebackers could be better. So, you could have a really good defensive line, but if your linebackers aren't the best, running the ball is feasible. It's possible for Travis Etienne and James Robinson. I know Robinson is questionable as well, but I think the difference in this game is Trevor Lawrence over Carson Wentz. I think Trevor Lawrence is in for a much bigger year than Carson Wentz. The Jaguars, Carson Wentz just played the Jaguars, and that didn't go very well. And I think the Jaguars are going to keep that going against Carson Wentz. Maybe Carson Wentz wants the revenge and he plays well versus the Jaguars just because of that. I could see that as well. I could really see this game going either way, so I'm not going to take this money line. I think I could go either way, but I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-23. We're going to see how that goes, So you guys let me know what you think of that one, because that one's a back-and-forth one in my opinion. Talking about back-and-forth games, you have the Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers, another back-and-forth game. You could debate either side, but I took the Cleveland Browns in this one. They're 1.5 point underdogs. but I'm gonna take the Cleveland Browns 23-20 over the Carolina Panthers. I know both teams have pretty good defenses. Both teams have decent weapons. I think the Carolina Panthers have better weapons. Robbie Anderson, you have DJ Moore. The Panthers have some nice weapons. They have another guy that they drafted too. I'm completely blanking on his name. I've blanked a few times this video. I have to get a little better with that, but I have to write some more notes. But CMC, he's questionable. He's having that little injury. Even if he does play, he's going to be on a pitch count. Already having issues with that. But the Panthers have very good weapons, and we got to see what Baker Mayfield's going to have. Of course, we're going to see Baker Mayfield go up against the Cleveland Browns in Week 1. The NFL does a phenomenal job with getting those matchups out early, so people are focused into the NFL early, and ultimately it sets up the rest of the season for people wanting to watch it. So the reason why I'm taking the Cleveland Browns here is because I'm going to take the defense and the running back over Carolina's defense and Carolina's running back. If CMC plays, that's a little bit of a different story. But I also think the Browns' offensive line is much better, which will give Jacoby Brissett time to make a few nice throws. The weapons aren't great. I do like Njoku. I do like Harrison Bryant. I do like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper can go silent at times, and the Panthers have some good corners as well. So these receivers might struggle. But Nick Chubb is a very talented back, a very good back. So I can see Nick Chubb taking this game over because, the Carolina's linebackers aren't anything phenomenal. They're okay. Not crazy. But I like this Browns team over the Carolina Panthers. I think this is a game you can go back and forth and you can make an assumption for both sides. But I think the Browns are more technically sound on defense than the War is good. I don't think there's any Greg Newsome nor Greedy Williams. I think Greg Newsome might be injured a little bit, but I think he might be playing. But Greedy Williams is on the IR, so the safeties they did lose that Troy Hill back to LA, but I guess we're gonna see how they fare at the safety room. But I'm gonna take the Cleveland Browns over the Carolina Panthers 23-20, and don't forget Baker Mayfield coming back to Cleveland. Baker Mayfield could very well have a big game, and that could be the difference maker there. But I'm taking the Cleveland Browns until I know otherwise of Baker Mayfield. I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan. He's got the talent. He just has not shown that he could put it all together consistently, game in, game out, for an entire season as well. Did his rookie season, but that was it. You could argue he was hurt last year. The injuries were serious. He's playing through torn labrums, all this crazy stuff. But so I get that. It's fair, whatever. But I need to see more because even the year before when he was fairly healthy, he played a pretty good season, but it wasn't anything out of this world. So I want to see I want to see Baker Mayfield first before I make any assumptions. I'm not a fan of the Carolina Panthers offensive line, so that kind of swings it to the Browns side as well. Having a better offensive line, better running back, better defense, a quarterback that's not going to make many mistakes, not going to be the reason why you win or lose, Jacoby Brissett, but it's a game that could go either way. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns 23-20. Then we have the Indianapolis Colts, who are 7-point favorites against the Houston Texans. So, interesting game here today, right? Or tomorrow. The Colts haven't won an opener since 2013. The Houston Texans, on the other hand, they just have not played well against the Colts. They were swept last year. And, how is Matt Ryan, this offense, going to look? I think this offense is going to look good week 1. You're not going up against a defense that's going to absolutely put you to bed. This defense is, you could exploit this defense at certain areas. Outside of Stingley, they do have Stingley, they have Steven Nelson, Desmond King in the slot. So they do have some good corners. So the Colts wide receivers are going to have to find a way to get some separation. I think Pittman's going to be fine. We're going to see some Alec Pierce. I'm excited to see Alec Pierce. Some Paris Campbell. He's healthy. He's a healthy scratch, man. Paris Campbell. Matt Ryan, of course. Naheem Hines playing some wide receiver. And I believe Mike Strawn and Desmond Patman both made the roster. So that's going to be a fun one. But I think the big difference in this game is going to be I think the Colts run game is going to figure it out. I think the Colts run game is going to I think Jonathan Taylor's going to have a big game. I think it's either Jonathan Taylor has a huge game or he doesn't. And I think this is a game where he comes back and strong because this Colts team didn't play good, versus Jacksonville last year to end the season, obviously. So they're going to be hungry, and Jonathan Taylor especially is going to be hungry. Only thing is, he didn't play all preseason, so that's something interesting to watch out for. But Then the Houston Texans, their defense line is okay. So maybe they could get after this Colts offensive line and not make much time for Matt Ryan. Maybe not much room for John Taylor to run. But Taylor can make room. Matt Ryan could get the ball out quick to Pittman or, some of these guys like Paris Campbell maybe or Naheem or, JT or Naheem out of the backfield. Both are very good out of the backfield. The Texans, the cornerbacks are a little better than some people think. Davis Mills is good. The Colts don't get pressure this game, which I think they will. The Texans' offensive line, the tackles are okay. They're not terrible. You do have Unique Ngakoue. You do have Kwity Paye, who is expected to have a big breakout year. Yeah, and then in the middle, you have Buckner. You have Stewart. You have Deo. Tyquan Lewis be playing it, inside, outside. I think it's a good matchup for the Colts. But there's a few things that they need to answer. There are some questions they need to answer. Can they win in week 1? How is the offensive line going to be with Danny Payne at right guard? How is Matt Pryor at left tackle? How is that going to be? How is Matt Ryan going to look? And I wonder how Stephon Gilmore is going to look, and no Darius Leonard as well. That's another big one. So if the Texans can maybe get the run game more, going with Pierce a little bit, maybe the Texans have a pretty big day on the ground, and maybe they find a way to beat the Colts week 1. But I have the Indianapolis Colts taking this one 31-21. I think Matt Ryan's going to get into a little bit of a rhythm, not too crazy, but I think Jonathan Taylor's going to be the star of the show for the Indianapolis Colts offense in this game in general. But don't sleep on Davis Mills. If the Colts don't get good pressure on Davis Mills, it could be a long day for this Colts defense. I know the cornerbacks are much better, but when you have a lot of time, a talented quarterback like Davis Mills can tear you apart. And Davis Mills has the ability to tear apart a defense. Brandon Cooks is a very underrated option. Nico Collins. They do have Philip Dorsett too, so I'm going to be interested to see Philip Dorsett and see what he's going to do against the Colts. Former number 1 overall pick. Might be a little motivated to do a little extra against the Colts. And, last year Chester Rogers had a good game against the Colts. He had a touchdown and a few nice catches. Just seems, those guys from other teams find a way to have big games when they're playing their former teams. They want the revenge. They want to show them what they're missing. But at the end of the day, Colts are a more talented team. They're more balanced. I can see the Colts taking over this game and putting it away. Maybe the Texans do get a garbage time touchdown, and maybe the Texans keep it close all the way. But next matchup here is another AFC South, opponent for the Indianapolis Colts. You have the Tennessee Titans. Two teams that are going to be competing for that South, and you have the Tennessee Titans and the New York Giants. So the New York Giants are 5.5-point underdogs, which I think that's a good line for the Titans. I think the New York Giants are going to come out fast. They're going to come out and score a touchdown quick, and then maybe score another touchdown later on in garbage time. I know that's kind of like a big stretch without any scoring, but I could see them maybe putting a drive there in the middle of the game for maybe a touchdown or a field goal. I could see this game being pretty close, but I think the Titans are going to prevail. I think Ryan Tannehill, and you do have some weapons there, not much. You have Treylon Burks, Reynolds. You have some weapons there, but Derrick Henry in this offensive line, I think Derrick Henry is going to be the difference in this game. I think Henry's going to get going. Maybe not the first drive, maybe not the second drive, but I'm going to see him going this game. I don't know when it's going to be, but I can see Henry going. And when you get Henry going, Tannehill's going to have a better game. Treylon Burks is going to get open, catch some big-time passes. Reynolds is going to catch some. Reynolds is a good receiver. He gets some separation, and he's got decent speed, so watch out for Reynolds. But I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans 24-14, covering this odd here. And, as I said, I see the Giants coming out early, coming out fast, but, I think they're going to be good off the script. After that, I'm not sure how they're going to be off the script. I don't have too much faith after that. Maybe they do score another field goal, like I said. The wide receivers are good, but the cornerback room, they don't have good cornerback. They don't have great cornerbacks. Their defensive line is good, not bad. Their linebackers are okay. Safeties are solid. They actually have some pretty good safeties. But I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans over the New York Giants here, 24-14. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, who are favored by 1.5 over the Minnesota Vikings. So there's a lot of hype surrounding the Minnesota Vikings this year, right? And I understand why. You look at the Minnesota Vikings and you see they have a lot of talent on offense. The defense may not be all that. It may be their big downfall and why they don't ultimately live up to expectations. But I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings over the Green Bay Packers here in week 1. I'm going to take them because, Rodgers has a lot of new weapons, options, and someone's out. I don't remember who it is. I know someone's out. I think Cobb is out, so it might. I don't know. I know they have a receiver that's questionable. I think it is Randall Cobb, and I I think Aaron Rodgers is going to take a little bit getting used to some of these new weapons. He's one of the best in the league, so he's going to adjust quickly. But first game, really quick, the Vikings could get out early, and that could be the difference, being up 2-3 scores. I don't know if they're going to be up 2-3 scores, but maybe Rodgers is trying to get used to these receivers. Aaron Jones is a good running back. I could see him having a big game. Packers offensive line is good. Packers defensive line is good. I really like Rashawn Gary. Devondre Campbell is good. They have one of the best cornerback tendons in the league. Duos, safeties are okay, but when you have receivers like the Minnesota Vikings, when you have Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and they have Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor is a wild card there. I think he's going to play a lot of special teams over starting team. I see KJ Osborne getting more time in the slot or number 3, whatever it is. But I also like Irv Smith. I think Irv Smith is a guy to watch this year. I think he could have a breakout year. But yeah, I'm ultimately going to take the Minnesota Vikings, and they could run the ball too. So if they do get up, they could run the ball, and their offensive line is going to be better than it has been. Their offensive line is going to be solid, and Kirk Cousins is going to have time. They're going to be able to run the ball. And, the Packers might be a little different. They don't know their weapons too well. I know it's Aaron Rodgers. You definitely take him over Kirk, but the weapons are different. Kirk's weapons are pretty up there. He's pretty damn good weapons. So I'm going to be interested to watch that matchup. But I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings in week 1 over the Green Bay Packers. And then we have another really high-scoring game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Arizona Cardinals. The Chiefs are favored by 6.5, so, a very high-scoring game it's going to be. Both defenses are not very good. They both have some good pieces here and there, but that's about it. Both cornerback rooms are iffy. Both defensive lines are actually okay. After that, there's a lot to be desired. But both offenses are high-powered, and with both defenses struggling and not being great, I'm going to take a big scoring game here. I think the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes are going to ultimately take it with, a lot more weapons. I'm excited to see this offense without Tyreek, but, I think it's a little better to have, it sucks to lose Tyreek. He's very good. None of these guys are really Tyreek's caliber or as reliable, but Juju could have a big year. You have Scantling. I think Hardman is still there. They have some good weapons. Sky Moore, the rookie, was going to be phenomenal. Surprised he dropped that far. And, this Chiefs offense is going to be really strong. The Cardinals offense, I think, is going to be really strong as well. They are without DeAndre Hopkins, but Murray's a threat in the air, on the ground. Offensive line of the Cardinals isn't great. Running backs could be a difference, Connor. But I don't know, man. Zach Ertz could have a big day. I think he will have a big day. But at the end of the day, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes and all these other weapons over Kyler Murray and all these other guys. So you guys Marquise Brown. That's right. I think Marquise Brown and Kyler Murray could have a good game as well. I think Marquise Brown being with a different quarterback in a different a change of scenery, maybe he changes his game and he plays better. But I'm still taking the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is miles better than Kyler Murray, in my opinion. And then you have more weapons. Travis Kelce is better than Zach Ertz. Those weapons are better than the Cardinals' weapons. Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be in for a good game. Defense, I already mentioned the defenses as you see the score. I don't have much confidence in either defense, but I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. And then this one might come to a surprise for some people, but we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Raiders are 3-point underdogs, but let me explain why I'm taking the Raiders over the Chargers in week 1. So I am taking the Raiders because last year that Chargers defense, the run defense was very bad. Now as I'm actually thinking about it a little more, I forgot how good the Chargers defensive line is and how bad the Raiders front is, but the Chargers run defense was so bad last year. And the Raiders do have a lot of weapons. Renfro, Adams, Waller just had a big payday. All these guys could have a big day. All these guys get open quick. So if the Raiders can't run the ball, but I think they will be able to run the ball effectively, even throwing it to Jacobs, even running it to Jacobs, running it with Jacobs. Either way, I think Jacobs is going to have a big game. And then you have receivers and a tight end that could get open quick. You could throw it up to Waller. You could throw it up to Adams. Renfro, not really a guy that you could throw up to, but he gets open quick. He's smart. And I think Carr in this Raiders offense has a very technically sound day. Defense, on the other hand, yeah, it's rough. The safeties are not terrible. They're very rangy. And the defensive line is solid. The corners, a little bit different of a story. You have Rocky Sin, Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs had an okay year last year. It was better than people thought. Rocky Sin, a cornerback from the Colts, never really had a good pass rush over there. But maybe he plays better with the change of scenery. He's physical. But the Chargers, Justin Herbert, Eckler, Williams, Keenan, they have so many big-time playmakers over there in LA. But I think this Raiders offense is going to be able to keep them off the field. I think they're going to be a little sloppy. I think Herbert is going to have a good day. He's going to have a good week every week, But at the end of the day, I think the Raiders are going to take it. The Chargers defense is very good as well. They have J.C. Jackson. They have that Joey Bosa. No, they don't have Chandler Jones. That's the Raiders. They have Khalil Mack. The interior defensive line, not a fan. Linebackers, Kenneth Murray struggled, didn't show too much. Safety, Derwin James is good. Is J.C. Jackson going to play the same as that he did in New England? That's something else you have to take into consideration. But I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take a team that's going to be more technically sound on Sunday. I'm going to take a team that's going to be able to run the ball better on Sunday. I get it. Eckler is very good. But I think there's some red flags with Eckler this year. So I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh Jacobs, Adams, Carr over. I'm not necessarily taking these, I'm not taking Carr over Herbert, but I just think that this offense in general is going to have a more technically sound day. Chargers offense line is better, so it's going to give Herbert much more time. But the Raiders safeties are rangy, so it could limit the big plays, which could be big. So we're going to move on from that game. We're going to move over right to the Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys game. Going to be a good game. But Sunday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are favored by 2.5. I'm taking the Buccaneers 31-21. So the Dallas Cowboys are a team that has gotten worse from last year. They have good talent. They have Gallup. They have CeeDee Lamb. They have Dalton Schultz, running back Zeke and Pollard. Very good running back room there. They have some good wide receivers. Offensive line is good. It's not as good as it used to be. Tyron Smith is hurt. Defense, you have Micah Parsons. Trayvon Diggs is a playmaker. I don't think he's a top 5 corner. I don't think he's an insane corner, but I do think that Trayvon Diggs is a solid corner, but I don't think he's anything insane. Letting up a lot of yards, that's an aspect of the game that you have to get better in, but he is aggressive and he gets a lot of interceptions, so it kind of, doesn't really even it out. Can't be allowing that many yards, but it's nice to have a lot of interceptions. It's good to be getting a lot of interceptions like that. But the Buccaneers are a technically sound team. You have Tom Brady, some very good weapons. Their offensive line isn't very healthy, but their weapons are very good. They can get open quick. I think the defense is incredible. The corners are okay. Safeties are solid. Linebackers are okay. Are solid. Defensive line is very solid, and I think that's going to be too much for this Cowboys offense to be able to score more than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think Brady is just going to be technically sound, and they're going to take care of business Sunday night versus this Dak Prescott-led Dallas Cowboys team. I'm taking the Buccaneers 31-21. And then you have the Monday night game here between the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. So the Denver Broncos are a very talented team all around. They have a lot of players on defense. They have a lot of superstars on offense as well. The Seahawks, if the Seahawks do end up winning this game, could you imagine the roar? Could you imagine the drama, the tweets, all the stuff that would happen? But, at the end of the day, Seahawks team, they have Lockett. They have DK Metcalf. I'm not a Drew Lock or Geno Smith guy. Neither. I don't think are going to play well. I don't think Geno Smith is good. Maybe he could be okay. Have a few nice plays here and there. Running backs, I like Kenneth Walker. They have another guy, and they have Rashad Penny. I like them. Offensive line is not very good. Defense is not very good at all. I think this Broncos offense is going to wear this Seahawks defense down, and then I think the Seahawks are going to be forced to pass the ball a lot, and then that means that this talented Denver Broncos front is just going to be able to pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. So I think it's going to be a pretty long day for the Seattle Seahawks, whoever it is under center. I think it's going to be a long day for, I believe it's Geno Smith. Yeah, it is. But it's going to be a long day for either of those guys, whoever play. Going to be getting hit a lot. The running backs are not going to have much room to run. And how are DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett going to play? They do have Noah Fant too, so that's going to be interesting. But at the end of the day, I'm taking a Broncos team that is much more talented, is a much better quarterback than the Seattle Seahawks. They have you have Russell Wilson playing Seattle, so gonna be a good game, gonna be a fun game. But I don't know why I just said it was gonna be a good game and fun game. It's it's gonna be a fun game in regards of Russell Wilson being back in Seattle, but I don't think it's gonna be a very close game. I think the Broncos are gonna take care of business, and that's all I got for you guys this week. This is my NFL Week 1 score predictions. I will be doing this every single week, so you guys let me know what you think. Is there anything I could do better? Do you have some suggestions for the graphics? Is there anything that you disagreed with me with? So this is the JDW Sports Talk Show. If you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so any future videos. This is JDW signing